Hi. So, I'm been having this conversation with myself for a while. I've been in therapy sessions where if I talk about Jung, I've had a therapist say, Jung is great and all, but why do you want to think about it that much? That was his quote to me, and I'm like, and I tried to think about it that way for a while, like maybe Jung is doing too much, but then I just recently, to say short, I changed therapists after a while, I'm in a new psychologist's office, and for sake of the conversation, I don't think it's good to bring up Jung just everywhere, even though I do try to, just to see if anyone understands. But in therapy or psychiatric work, I think Jung is fine to bring up. So yeah, I'm bringing up Jung again, saying, yeah, well, I'm a Jungian. I do a lot of Jung stuff, and she laughs and goes, "Oh, there will be no Jung here. You don't have to worry about that." And I'm like, no, I'm not offended, but I'm like, why are these people talking about Jung like that? I don't really. These professionals, not even like shitty opinions are one thing, but like when you hear professionals do it, so I had to really look into what that was, and people think Jung is a kook, essentially, which I think fair enough, but you know, we're all kooks, so what the fuck, I'm a kook. Jung helped me understand how not to be a kook, how to, I guess, understand my kookness through integration, and through integration I started to see like things like synchronicity, and started to develop a relationship with God, um, in a way that I understand it. I don't know what it is still. Jung sets the stage for the conversation, I believe, and there are spiritual aspects to him, but I mean, I would even stand with him and argue that, do you think your mom is why you're a piece of shit? Do you think it's Do you think it's your mom why you're a piece of shit, and also how you actually want to fuck your mom? Actually, that's why you're a piece of shit too. Or is it more so that there's something in you that is like trying to communicate with you, on an unconscious level, that is trying to, there's something, we can take all the spiritual out of it and just be like, hey, there's a part of your brain that's trying to communicate something with you, and if you misinterpret what that is, it could take you down some funky roads. And I've done my fair share of misinterpreting. Like, I was diagnosed with crippling anxiety. I didn't even know that was a diagnosis. I thought she was talking shit, and I was almost offended. But then I started to understand my mind. This is all a long time, but I started to understand and was able to integrate parts of me that was considered anxious, cripplingly, and now I use those things to benefit me, even if they can still be challenging. Like, anxiety is a call to action, depression is a call to action, and whatever it is the problem is, whether it's yourself or someone else, depression and anxiety, and what I found is something trying to communicate with you. And if you're like me and you had untreatable depression, nothing would ever work. I mean, I drank, and that was the only thing that came close, and that wasn't working. It was just sending me to oblivion. But through, yeah, I had a spiritual sickness more than I was cripplingly anxious. And when I started to understand myself better, I started to understand that voice in my head, or whatever you want to call it, Jung would probably say shadow, and I don't, it's whatever you want to call it. I just think Jung puts words to it that I like to say. What makes him a kook? And practicing these things provides great results. And I will take anecdotal evidence every day of a spiritual awakening than I will all of the doctors in the world saying just take a pill for your depression. I'm not anti-pharma. I'm a hemophiliac. I take medicine that saves my life every week. I had high blood pressure when I was drinking. I took high blood pressure medication. Okay. I just do not believe that the depression is something that you're fixing with a pill. I think it is a perspective. And Jung helps a lot with understanding that with yourself. And like, where is that? I took a trip once, and the depression was gone. That's kind of what it felt like. Like, colors be damned, the depression wasn't there anymore. And I remember, what I remember the most about that trip was being so clear that I am choosing, right? Because the same things would happen, but I noticed that I didn't put those energies to it. I noticed that I instead loved it, not like enthusiastically, but I just accepted more, and when I came down from it, it was almost like if you want to, I'll just say ego for sake of conversation, but it was like the ego came back so strong. And I was telling my wife, I don't know if it's came back stronger, or I'm just much more aware of it now. And I'm not realizing really how much that part of me is running things. And so even with that, it doesn't make it go away, right? I've had to understand that it's a process that I've picked up on and I've learned. And through integration and understanding these callings, I actually come closer to God. I'm a post New Age Theism movement, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris guy. I really enjoyed their arguments against the nothingness, but then address the nothingness, and you'll see. Don't just scoff it away and say, see, obviously, because I'm so empty, there is nothing. And so I would really, really, really like to know what about Jung makes him a kook. And I can speak through my own personal experience, but I also I understand the concept, that I know people understand the concept, and I know people act. Just in like CBT, if you want to do cognitive behavioral therapy, I think that's just Jung. They just took Jung and took away all the mysticism, right? And that's fair enough, but CBT won't get you to your pipe. CBT will keep you mopping the puddles that it's causing. So CBT might say, oh, yes, I am wanting to yell at this person. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe there's more perspective there, blah, blah, blah. But I believe integration or just any of Carl shadow work, you start to understand why you're getting there in the first place. So I think CBT is kind of management, where shadow work is development. So I dare you to say that Carl Jung is a kook without seeming like a kook yourself. And I also dare you to defend Carl Jung without seeming like a kook yourself. Okay, love you, bye.